Scream 7 is still a long ways away, but today let's discuss who could potentially be the opening kill. This cast is pretty large, so there are a lot of options, and let's just get into it.
Certain rules. Push the laws and you end up dead.
This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life.
Not in my movie.
Surprise, Sydney.
He's gone mad.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
A very simple formula.
You want to play psycho killer?
Everybody's a suspect.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
I'll be right back.
Okay, I think it's gonna go something like this.
I'm Pamela, welcome back to the channel. Quite a few options for who the opening kill could be. Now, my initial thought over a year ago, when I was thinking that Scream 7 is going to mirror Scream 3 in a lot of ways, just like Screams 5 and 6 mirrored Screams 1 and 2 in a lot of ways. I feel like Scream 7 might have a lot of callbacks to Scream 3, and the opening kill for Scream 3 was obviously Cotton Weary, who was our first ever returning character as an opening kill. He also happened to be a man, so I was initially thinking that maybe the opening kill will be another returning character, possibly a returning male. Doesn't necessarily have to be a male returning character, but maybe just a returning character in general. So that gives us a few options. Now, before the news broke that Melissa Barrera was not returning, I was thinking that maybe it could be Danny, her boyfriend from Scream 6, but clearly I don't think he's gonna be in the movie. You know, it's not looking good. We haven't heard anything about him returning, joining the cast. And the fact that Sam's not in the movie, it is not looking likely that we'll ever see Danny again. I do think it could be possible if they really wanted to, but I just don't see that happening. So Danny is out as far as the opening kill. Now, another option could be Martha Meeks. She would be considered a returning character. We've seen her in 2 other movies before. We first saw her in Scream 3, so that could be another way for Scream 7 to mirror Scream 3 if we see her again. That's a little callback to Scream 3. And possibly killing her off in the opening could be how we get the twins involved again. We know that the Meeks twins are back for Scream 7. Could their mother be the opening kill? Now, what about Neil Prescott, Sydney's father? So we have not seen him since Scream 3. So again, if we see him in Scream 7, that could be a callback to Scream 3. Now, there is a deleted scene in Scream 4 where Dewey says to Gale that Sydney's father died. But is that considered canon? Because it is a deleted scene. I feel like they could choose to ignore that if they want to. I do think it would be a lot of fun to see him again, possibly see him as a grandfather because we know Sydney's daughters are going to be in the movie. Of course, if he dies in the opening, then we won't really get to see him be a grandfather that much, but I do think that it should take something major to get Sydney involved in the story again. You know, Scream 6 didn't have anything to do with her. The attacks happening in New York City had nothing to do with her, so there was no reason for her to travel there. But if her father gets killed, then that might be reason enough for her to want to get involved with Ghostface again. Which does bring me to Mark Evans, her husband. Obviously, he's not technically a returning character, but having him be the opening kill, I think, would guarantee Sydney's involvement. This movie right off the bat would have high stakes, and we do need some big character deaths in this movie. That is something that was lacking in Scream 6 severely. And even though we technically don't know Mark Evans, we're not really attached to him, I think it would still be considered a big character death because he is Sydney's husband. He is the father of her children, who we're gonna meet in the movie. So I think he could be a good opening kill. But I know a lot of fans have said they wouldn't like that because they do want to get to know him. Something else I have thrown out here on the channel almost a year ago at this point is Maureen Prescott, Sydney's mother. What if for the opening scene of Scream 7 we get a flashback to her murder? I think that could be incredible. I do have a couple of videos on the channel if you want to go back and check them out for a little bit more detail. But I will just say here in this video, I think that could be so cool because, first of all, technically Maureen Prescott would be a returning character because we have kind of seen her before. It could be a callback to Scream 3 because we get some Maureen Prescott info in Scream 3. And Tom Prince, one of the stab actors, you know, after the movie's been canceled and they're all hanging out at his house, he's tearing up the script and he says there's a flashback to Maureen's murder. So to actually see that play out in Scream 7 could be a fun little callback to Scream 3. And maybe that is why we are getting all of these casting announcements with like Matthew Lillard. I mean, you guys know I think Stu Macher's alive. I do think he'll be revealed alive in the final act of Scream 7, but what if we also get a flashback with Stu Macher and we see him killing Maureen? There's rumors about Skeet Ulrich returning. Maybe that's how we're gonna see Stu and Billy on screen together again. A Maureen Prescott murder flashback. Same thing with Scott Foley. What if we find out that he was actually there that night? Or, you know, maybe we just see him track down Billy and show him the footage of Maureen and Hank. I think having Maureen's murder as the opening scene could be something so fresh and different for the franchise. I think that opening scene could go down in history in the franchise, and I just think it would be so cool. Now, moving on to the Meeks twins. Could one of them be the opening kill? Because both of them are returning characters, so if the opening kill is going to be a returning character, kind of like Cotton Weary, then them two are options. But I don't know if it would be either of them. So Mason Gooding, who plays Chad, has revealed in an interview several months ago at this point that he got to work with Neve Campbell this time around. So I am thinking he survives the opening because unless Sydney is also in the opening scene, if Chad dies right off the bat, then Mason wouldn't have had a chance to work with Neve. And with Mindy, I'm assuming she survives the opening because I am also assuming that she gives the rules later on in the movie. She gave the rules of surviving a horror movie in both Scream 5 and Scream 6. So the fact that she's returning in 7, I'm assuming she will once again give us the rules. And the fact that like Randy gave us the rules in the first 3 movies, and she's sort of like the new Randy, I assume she will be giving the rules once again. However, I suppose Randy gave the rules in Scream 3 from Beyond the Grave. So could Mindy end up doing that? Maybe she filmed a video sort of like Randy did. And if Mindy gives the rules after her death, that could be another way to mirror Scream 3 and have a fun little callback. Now, moving on to some of the new cast members. This new cast, honestly, is so large. There are so many new characters in this movie, which I think is going to be so fun because we'll have a lot of red herrings, hopefully, and suspects, and I do think that is something that was missing from Scream 6 as well. I feel like Scream 6 had no red herrings. But as far as the opening kill, the one cast member that comes to mind is McKenna Grace. Could she be the opening kill? Because in the past movies, we know that oftentimes the biggest actor is the opening kill. The first movie was Drew Barrymore, second movie Jada Pinkett Smith. The fourth movie, there were like a bunch of celebrities in the opening kill. And I feel like McKenna Grace is the biggest name to join Scream 7. So could she be the opening kill? It's definitely possible. I personally kind of want to see her survive at least half the movie because I am a fan of hers and I want to see her throughout the rest of the movie. Now, the last option of who I think could be the opening kill is possibly Celeste O'Connor. And the only reason I think that is because I believe she wrapped filming pretty early on during production for Scream 7. I feel like she only filmed for like a week or two and then packed her bags and went back home to New York. So could she be the opening kill? But there you have it. Those are several options for the opening kill. Obviously, I have no idea what the hell is going to happen, but those are just some of my thoughts and theories and ideas. If you have any ideas that you want to throw out, please leave a comment down below. I love reading your guys' comments. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and make sure you turn on all notifications so that you don't miss out on future Scream videos. In the meantime, I have a ton of past theories on the channel you can definitely check out. Please also go follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and I will be right back.